pulls it off like it was nothing. There's a hint of pride in his eye when he gets back, and more than a hint in mine. You don't want to know what he did to that thing, but believe me, it works. The marshals would have been downright jealous. There's only one way to Cinder Brick Fort. The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The calamity was mercy for normal folks. The windbags ain't so lucky. They've been left to freeze, or starve, or face the kid. Well, windbags young and old keep fighting for the fort. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. Something the windbags just can't handle. Something that'll punch clean through their greasy hides. Windbags ain't much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. The calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort. Could have been minding the business underground like in the old days. Windbags can't use the marshal's supplies, but the kid sure can. He stashes the marshal's prize. Goes back to something more his style. As for the windbags, Cinder Brick gave him enough heat and metal to munch on for a while, though the fort ain't theirs by right. So many of those sorry things holed up inside that old fort. Not a scratch on him as he presses on the higher ground. Security's plane gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works. Kid ain't afraid of getting burned. They trapped the kid in the middle of the fort's parade grounds. Then they bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles. Kid takes down Glutus. Maybe it was Glandon. The other big fella soon joins his brother, wherever they are now. The windbags finally get the message. Kid used to dream of getting a marshal's badge, but not like this. The Skyway's a welcome sight after all that. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinder Brick Fort. Kid shows up just as Zulf's telling me about his own journey to the city. The marshals seem like good men, he says. They treated him with dignity. Zolf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zolf was his smoking pipe. The marshals kept the city's peace. They can rest easy now. Javel. Even since the Ura surrendered to us, the marshals kept a wary eye on him. Poor kid collapses after just one drag. The past Only good thing ever come out of the past is history. What was I saying? Anyway. Past catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie. He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his. Messiah. Wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of those. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. Ever felt a Zolwood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, marshals learned to make every shot count. The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo. Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. The funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. The best of the best clear the course in just a few shots. Kid probably could have made himself marshal one day. The city's unwanted things all met their end in the yard. Folks who fouled up would do their time here, smashing things to bits. The quicker they worked, the sooner they could go. Folks learned to plant their feet and put their backs into it. Others would plot a course to navigate that sea of junk. Work in the yard did have its risks. A good day smashing can feed a family for a week. Kid pays another visit to the scrapyard for old time's sake. Worked too slow and all you got was a sore back. Some folks invested their earnings to forge even better hammers. Always plenty there for smashing. Ever want to just smash things for a while? You know where to go. A sail hammer's only as strong as its spine. And that's a strong spine. Now the weight of the world behind us every swing. The Langston River flowed free and wild till the calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core, they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, the certain fate is very large and still feeble. We send some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. A security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They try to cut her off. They try to slow her down. They try to knock her out. Well, Weepin' Nellie tries harder. Try as she might, though, she hits a snag. The kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. At least she picked a good spot for a break, because the core's right there. Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. Peckers. They had their own eyes on the core. But why? Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds Weepin' Nellie raring to go. It turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough. She's gonna need a little help with all them peckers. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. Rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these. Security skiffs keep on coming, starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot, as long as they hit something. get an even better idea. They aim to smash Weeping Nelly to splinters. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nelly. She's just gotta make one last stop. With her last breath, Nelly gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in the Picker country. They want that core real bad. Might be they want it just as bad as a kid. Kid shoes them off, knowing they'll be back. Know how many times Kid nearly fell off the bars back there? A good couple of times. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part. Why go to Prosper Bluff? Used to take an enterprising man or a plain old fool to venture out that far. The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it? There the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? That's the one. Timeless. Well, no point explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes. They'll be here before too long. We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow her again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. The lost and found. Here, kid takes fragments of the old world and makes them whole again. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened him up. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. Slinger Jawson's old outpost is all that's left of him. kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Leave it to the kid to make time for stomping swamp weeds. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none talk faster than the slingers. They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine. They knew just when to start shooting and when to stop. Those pistols could spit out rounds just as quick as you could pull the trigger. Learning to hold your fire could be its own challenge. I gotta say, kid's the fastest shot I ever seen. He blew through slinger range like it was nothing. After Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good, for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ligura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. else survive. Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, pineapples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. The security's just down the street. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi, the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Near lost my train of thought just thinking about that place. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Kid doubles back just in case he missed something. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Any brusher's pike can cut to the bone, but that one can cut through it. Toughest thing about using that gas can is keeping a grip on it. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. These beasts, they don't like company. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. Brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Can't get hasty in a place like this. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and it's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground, Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. Queen's got one mean bite. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the Queen. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. The shard's sitting in plain view. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. That gator's a crazy gal, but so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. Taught him a little something from my days on the front. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. To prepare for the wilds, Ceylonia's brushers practice at Camp Dauncey. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Sometimes the course was brutal. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Dauncey. They said they made you weak. The rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pipe. If you did all right at Camp Dauncey, you got to go to the wilds. The Brushers were Caelondia's field agents, and their training was harsh. You had to find a path through the maze as quick as you could. One well-placed throw could take out several of those ugly critters. You can see why the Brushers prize those pikes of theirs. When you've got a solid balance, you've got what you need. Prep for the course, the Brushers could modify their pikes however they wanted. There wasn't time to squash every cushion, just the ones in the way. A good enough run at Camp Danzig could get you promoted to captain on the spot. The wilds ain't so scary now, are they? Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Might as well pick up where they left off. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand rails all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rail's seen much more fighting in bygone times. The Ura-Ceylondian War, 50 years ago, doomed to happen again. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? Peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wondered just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. The dynasty, to the families of the city. All reunited. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. The Armada sure could have used one of these back in the day. A pinch of fairy dust, and it's all set. That thing wasn't always meant to be a weapon, but there's no denying it now. Good thing I didn't throw away the manual. The shards are getting harder to find. Caelandia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Caelandian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. The kid ain't bad, but the Triggers were better. His ears must be ringing after all that shooting. That's the way to make every shot count. It's no longer a weapon, it's a precision instrument. If you want to master the art of the firearm, then the place to go is Trigger Hill. Sometimes you had to shoot from the hip. Had to keep moving to avoid getting burned. Kid blows through that course like it was nothing. The Caelandian army would have recruited him in a flash. Not everything blew up in the Calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Culford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling up the places. The more ash we swept aside, the more light we found. Place as inhospitable as they come. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Culford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Bog. The kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. And where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. The kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city, but all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. He comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. Take my word for it. Don't ever drop one of those. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zand. Welcome to Grady Incinerator, home of the hottest wings east of Caelondia. In all seriousness, the incinerator was a dump, and it had a problem with peckers. Blasted things would swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint. Keeping the incinerator clean was a paying job, but not a pleasant one. Know how we kept the city clean? We put all our trash in the Grady Incinerator. Peckers that flock together were easy pickings. Wasn't any other way to teach those peckers some respect. Who knows why we fought so hard to defend our own trash? Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. Those beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. But they ain't yet prepared for any company. They even dragged their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts have been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. It's a delicate situation. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Looks like our little science project is all set. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Celandia's armada was a glorious sight, and our ship's mortars were unstoppable. At Boundless Bay, our Navy put those mortars through a rigorous inspection. Had to use squirts to simulate explosive impact on the surface of the sea. Choosing targets with those mortars was one of the trickiest parts. Galleon skippers needed to be patient, needed to fire at just the right times. You could almost see the fireworks over Boundless Bay. Good thing we got to that mortar before the beasts of the wild learned how to use it. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. And that's everything. Mother knows he's paid his dues in that forge. Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Caelondia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burststone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. Same goes for its natives, Rattletails. The quarry ain't exactly up to safety standards no more. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nested in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Windbags tended to the rocks, so we had to keep the rattletails at bay. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry is a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. The smaller ones, we call them shards. A shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said Rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. The bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. If that's the way it is, he says, then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will. The next part's hard to talk about, no matter how many times I try. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. Should have seen this coming. Felt it in my bones. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back for the calamity. It was Caelandia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. Now all we need is one last shard. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand as living proof of that. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. We wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. It's strange. Feels like I told this part 1,000 times. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. See ya. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things, the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Kids picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura keep hanging on to that barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Maybe they know they've lost this. Lost to a kid. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. That makes us different from the people now, don't it? Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over. The Ura probably didn't know they were being watched from Manser Observatory. It was the perfect spot to test something no one's meant to know about. Only trouble was, something about the place drove the windbags crazy. Hefty thing like that takes getting used to. Gotta point her in the right direction. Best stand well clear of that impact. Whatever gets in her way is in the world of her, but she ain't the fastest thing. When the windbags caused enough trouble, the observatory... The Mansers conducted their most secretive research far east of the city. Now, who would have taught a kid to do a thing like that? That experiment was a rousing success. If only the Mansers could have seen the kid playing around with their favorite toy. Part of the Rivlin walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can. I'd see that thing completed. Not in this life. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. The Calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the Calamity. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? We're waiting. All of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Earth planted here will go away. What happens to Zolf will no longer matter. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the Calamity. Be your old self again. could follow me? All life's little setbacks. Hey, imagine if you could have another go at him. No mistakes. Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done. You could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? I guess there's nothing more to say. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out, and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off, away from here. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zulf and the Ura. All they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zulf dedicated his life to lasting peace between the Ura and Caelondia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zulf ain't lost every shred of decency, though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zulf, this ain't a personal matter. One thing's for sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zulf all the way home. Kid saved Zulf once, but I don't think he'd make the same mistake. I wouldn't. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be all right. Although, after talking it over like this, guess I'm beginning to have my doubts. Kid's probably dealt with Zulf by now. He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I said get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions. Good to see you. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up.
Oh, mother. And here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the calamity itself. But instead, you want to stay in a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea. But carrying on with you here, we can't go back no more. But I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look in their faces when we dock this thing right on their doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?
Sweet
Think the gods are gonna help? The Calamity saved some of my old books. Guess it's got a sense of humor. Still no mail. Go figure. Long reach and plenty of power. Now that's a scary combination. Kid takes another drag, goes out like a light. There's something you should know about the kid, but let me take it from the top. Catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Think the gods are gonna help? Kid's ready to hit him fast and hit him hard. Now he can shoot that fang repeater all day long. That mortar's gonna leave a lasting impression. Taught him an old trick from a galleon gunner I once knew. Graver gimlet tastes different the longer you swish it around. Miraculous stuff. Third time's the charm, right? Wrong. Ever tell you how the kid got himself wrapped up in this mess to begin with? Catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie. He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his. Having his mama's hair did the kid no favors while he was growing up, but he learned to hold his own out there. School ain't working out, so the kid signs up for a turn on the rippling walls. Make his mama some money. Thanks to folks like the kid, the walls kept Ceylondia safe from whatever's out there. The elements, the Ura, you name it. Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too. The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Caelondia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, kid learned to fend for himself. Learn to build. Learn to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing where the world used to be. The calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, He ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. What was I saying? Anyway. Will have finally arrived at Ceylandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. Wait, where was I? But then, all I got was more thankless work. from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the bastion, but the kid made 'em real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Doomshine's a bit of an acquired taste. like a mouthful of horseradish. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot.